was, you know, it's different now. It's just different.
To retrieve her senseless for solutions that thus far have not.
I'm going.
By one broad homeland this year.
I'm gonna mute that. Hi. There is news in the background. There is always news on. Where's my roommate? Time out, 30 seconds. Hi, that is Chef Smith. My name's Ivy, and it's awesome to see you again. Some of you have been here for like ever, and I am acknowledging the fact that I think there's like maybe 20 subscribers on this channel. All of you have asked me to start making videos, and some of my old professors have asked me to start making videos and a podcast, which I'm making a podcast. Sorry, I need to stop everything that's happening in the background because the news is distracting me, which is part of the story. Can I pause this? Is it smart to pause that? Is that gonna be distracting? Why don't we just take a nap? I was in undergrad, I was studying music industry studies, which is like commercial music at some schools. I was a performance major at the time, doing voice and piano and learning and growing under the instruction of Miriam Angela Porter, who is a legend. I will forever, if you ever need a voice teacher and you're in the St. Louis area, and Miriam is still out there, Miriam Angela Porter, ladies and gentlemen, what a legend. So, one of my moms, amazing person, mentor, light into my life. I, throughout freshman, sophomore, junior year, was explicitly doing residence life, trying to be a student leader, living my best life, and then I came out to Washington, D.C. And I came out to Washington, D.C. to intern for one of my state senators, a person who came from the same hometown as me, had a very similar like style of upbringing, and did a lot of the same things I was very interested in doing. Before I had interned for him, I actually interned and shadowed this other person who ended up becoming the state representative. It was, it's amazing to look back on because one was working in my district as the state's attorney, became like a Republican statesman became a Republican General Assemblyman for the state of Illinois, representing my district in the state house, and then on the national level, I got to intern with a Democratic leader from my state. So insane. That's to say the least. Had those experiences, loved every single moment. There was not a moment that I wish I could take back. But I realized the arc of my career and the reason why I was falling in love with these things was the same reason that I was coming to that space, the same reason I was coming to learn different things, was because I was interested in political ideology, philosophy, the way that people think about things. So again, we know this if we know me. If you don't know me, again, this is introductory. Welcome. Please have a drink, take a seat, quench your thirst. I covered up the emblems, didn't I? Yep. I'm not plugging everybody. If you're not paying to be in the video, I'm sorry. If you want ad space, contact me. Sidebar, complete sidebar. I'm always like this. At one point, I was so extra that I got singed by Angela Rye at a taping for a show. Got the tastiest of burns for about 2 segments. Oh, and she called me Sprint, and I'm not gonna explain why because I'm not gonna explain why I was deemed Sprint, because that's a story for a different day. And I think that while I have student debt, I'm not burning any ties, okay? Not with Angela Rye, not with Sprint or Verizon, not with BET. We're all family. Catch me after I pay the student debt. Okay, sidebar over. I need to stop. Otherwise this video is gonna be 20 minutes long and nobody's gonna watch it. I went to this discussion on bipartisanship that was being mediated while I was in DC, and I've always been a journalist at heart. I've always been a person who likes and appreciates the truth, and I can work for anyone, I can do anything, but at the end of the day, if I'm not telling the truth, then I really feel bad. It's the reason why I've always liked reporting, liked analyzing, liked explaining things. While I was there at this bipartisan meeting, it was between two former congresspeople who had been working together, Democrat and Republican, over the course of their lifetime. There was this journalist there, Megan Vasquez, and you know her reporting even if you don't know her. She used to work at IJR, she has worked at Fox News, she's worked for CNN, she's a legend. I got the opportunity to sit down and have coffee with her and ask her, like, how did she do what she did? And what advice she would give to people starting out in the industry. What connections should I make as a journalist? Where should I start? How far should I go? And that coffee, that was kind of like a decisive moment in that internship that I didn't actually expect to come up. So I packed my things. I left DC, sad face. I got this amazing picture with two of my rocks. I left DC, came back to my undergrad, and in that time I realized what I want to do is I want to move away. I've done marketing, I've done media, I've done comms, but I haven't done it with a singular focus. It's always been something that's kind of on the outskirts, and I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to finish my BA. So I got what most of America considers a very pointless BA in philosophy. And I love it. Got my minor in music industry studies because I had already finished too many credits. It was an easy minor to get, it had already been done. And so I got performance, I got used to speaking in front of a crowd, got used to having conversations with people, used to being recorded, which used to be a whole problem. And as I got adjusted, I realized, okay, maybe more of what I want to do is to do reporting. Maybe I like journalism, and the portion of journalism I like is the portion of music industry studies of communications that I like. So I started using my philosophy experience and my experience in DC to inform the way that I went about reporting, while also broadcasting at the radio station on campus and getting used to reporting. And actually at the end of my senior year, I got to be the on-air broadcaster for like 8 a.m. news, so covering traffic, covering weather, and really centering on like some really fun stories for the morning, and giving our day side a different voice, which was, again, amazing. So I finished my undergraduate in June, and then I worked in July. And for a brief period of time, there was mass insanity. Like when I say mass insanity, I mean, I was working full-time as an assistant manager at a restaurant that I loved. Don't get me wrong, I loved the staff, I loved the experience. I could work anywhere and do a great job. So during that time, after undergraduate, if you are a poor student, or if you're in foster care or anything like that, something that can happen is you can graduate with a bachelor's degree and have A, spent most of your undergrad being homeless, or B, end your undergraduate degree being homeless, or C, both. But I ended up homeless from about the end of May, June, way off into July. So I was living in different places for a while, living in my car, for a while living between hotels, and I was still living in these spaces as an undergraduate with a bachelor's degree that, you know, people say is meaningless. While I was homeless, I was also planning to transition to going to my current school. So right now I'm actually in a graduate program for journalism in Washington, D.C., which is where I live now. I actually don't live in Washington, D.C. now, but I live in the area. So we're here, we're in the DC metro area, living in the DMV, living life. So that's where this YouTube channel comes in. I think that a lot of people talk about why you should go into a grad program, why you shouldn't go into a grad program, talk about the different ways that education impacts you, and talk about their jobs. But I don't think there's not that many YouTubers that I see coming from this space. Now, that's not to say that there aren't people out there doing that. Don't get me wrong. One of my favorite YouTubers right now, Clancy Berg. She used to work at Fox 45 News in Ohio. Now she works in Cincinnati, so she's moved from Dayton to Cincinnati. And I don't know why I'm plugging so much, but I think it's important. This is an opportunity for us to get to know each other, because this will be a long, loving, caring relationship. And since it's gonna be a long relationship, I wanna make sure you know what I'm gonna be referencing, you know? Keep your references, your works cited at the end of your text. You put annotations throughout. This is MLA format. But don't get me wrong, we do support the AP style book in this world. Okay, just to let you know, the reason why I bought an AP style book is because I thought it'd be kind of important. One of my grad professors is, let's say opposed to old academic formatting. I could quote him as saying, if you could please take your MLA style book out, turn to page 273, rip it out and burn it. I think that was the quote. Journalism. And yes, I do use that style book. How dare you? How dare you assume? There are plenty of YouTubers that are journalists, but you know, Clancy Berg brings us in and out of her life. This past week, again, sometimes I'm a follower. Long story short, Clancy Berg is doing something that I really think needs to be done. Showing people who want to become journalists and people who are listening to her and trusting her with news, what her life looks like, what it looks like to be on the other side of the desk, what she does when she's anchoring breaking news, what she does when she's out in the field reporting. That side of news is just not one that you see that often. We need more experiences like this, especially on YouTube. We need to have the opportunity to learn from each other. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a journalist, is you're taking someone else's knowledge, you're taking that moment, that experience that they have, and you're integrating it into your knowledge. Journalists want that. We want to let you know what's happening. We want to be as transparent as possible. And sometimes that means this, becoming as transparent as physically possible without giving you my literal social security number and address. Welcome to my life. I want to let you know that I will be posting at least once a week, because I like consistency, but I also need the freedom to move. More to come.